This is gonna be a rather random video, but I am done with what is going on in fast fashion stores. It amazes me how different the women's and the men's section still is. And the more I look into it, the more fucked up it is, to be honest. So today I will walk you through the weird differences that I have encountered as a person that is now shopping mostly in the men's section, and obviously when I was younger I had to shop in the women's section. It's weird. Now I'm annoyed. So let's start with the actual factual things, then we can move on to what all of this actually kind of means. Let's start off with something that you probably already heard with it, which is the problem with women's pockets. But that's kind of everybody already knows about this, that women basically don't have pockets. Nowadays I wear men's jeans, and they have pockets to half of my thigh. They're this big, even if they're skinny jeans. Women either don't have pockets at all, or they have pockets that maybe you will fit half of your fingers into. Obviously, that's bad, but everybody knows about this. But this plays a role because that's just the most obvious thing that you heard about this. There are so many other things that are weird. Because I think the pockets thing plays into how different the quality of the clothing is between women's and men's clothing. And let me tell you, the difference is big. This is the first men's shirt I have ever bought. Let me tell you, I was amazed because it has things that I have never seen on a women's shirt before. Just quickly, I'm using men's and women's shirt as a kind of stereotypical way. You would see in the store the women's and the men's section. Obviously, I don't really give a shit what clothing is in which section. Doesn't matter, it's clothing. I mean, come on, that's what world are we still living in? Moving on. The first thing I have noticed is you can see this on the seam. You know what this is? This is a reinforcement. Now let me tell you, women's shirts don't have that. Women's shirts don't have any reinforcement. I can tell you because I've worn them for years. I have one right here, no reinforcements, and this is the first time I saw reinforcements on a shirt, but from a fast fashion store. Not only that, there are stereotypical things like buttons on the other side for men's and for women's, which is I guess kind of a weird thing from the past that for some reason still exists today. Not sure. Honestly, this doesn't make sense because if they make shirts, wouldn't that be easier to just have everything on one side? I'm pretty sure it is. So it's just a weird stereotype to keep on. Another thing, you have two buttons, which means that you can regulate how big the cuff should be. Also, this is also a thing I've only seen, I think, on men's shirt. On women's, you just have one size, one button, that's all, nothing else. Buttons on the collar, that doesn't exist in women's shirt. Honestly, not sure why is that. I can't draw any conclusions on that, but this is a much better quality shirt than any of the women's shirt I have ever seen before I got this one. And seen, period, I guess. And let me tell you, talking about the buttons on the cuffs, you see, you can change sizes in men's clothing. It's not just one size. You have a smaller and bigger, and you can change the size of the cuff. No problem. Women's clothing doesn't have that. Women's clothing has just one size. That's all. You can't adjust any of this. This goes on to sizing as a whole. Recently, I was talking with my friends about buying jeans, and I mentioned that, oh yeah, men's jeans has two sizes. You have the waist, you have the length. So you can, for example, my size of waist would be 28, and length 30 or 32. But you can do 28, 28, 30, 28, 30, 32. You have options, and choose that. In women's clothing, you would never see jeans that have two sizes that are different on waist and different on length in women's clothing. That doesn't exist. You have one size and the waist and the length doesn't change. It's basically pre-decided for you how long your legs should be if you have a set waist, or how big your waist should be, or how small your waist should be if you have this length of legs. That's for some reason that's pre-decided for you. But in the men's section, you can just choose what fits you. And women's clothing, the problem with women's clothing is that the clothing is made and you have to fit into it. The men's clothing is made, so the clothing fits you. And this goes very heavily to the kind of stereotype. Basically, it's the fashion designer, or like somebody decides what size you should be. It doesn't matter what size you are actually. This is the clothing you have. You have to fit this. Why? I guess this is something that exists historically for a long time, because you have the perfect body measurements for every era, that those were public things. But basically, this is the fashionable silhouette sizes, and if you have this size of waist, you should have this size of bust, or this length of legs, or something like this. And this still exists, even though it's so toxic. Because clothing should fit you. You shouldn't have to adjust to those weird stereotypes of, I don't even know who decided those things. Just to be not even fit into the beauty standard, but just fit into all of this. And this is just the medium small sizes, I guess. I can't even imagine how hard it has to be in the women's section, buying clothing in the women's section, for a plus size person. Because the clothing for anybody else is already not made for people. So I'm sorry to anyone that has a bigger size, that has to buy clothing in fast fashion brands, because it's a mess. But that's just the sizing. You can already see that the sizing plays into this weird stereotype of how a woman, or assigned female at birth person, should look. But there are even more weird things when you look into it. For example, the prices. The prices are different. I can already tell you that. I can tell you that you can buy men's clothing that are better quality for smaller amount of money. I can just tell you that from experience. I can tell you that obviously I'm Polish, I use zloty as money, so I will try to kind of do different. You get it, you will see on the screen how much money this is. But I can tell you that this blouse cost me, so I don't lie to you, it was 40 zł. Yes, it was 40 zł. This same blouse in the women's section would cost 60 to 80 zł. And I can tell you, because I have actually looked at it when I was buying this. It's either 2 times more expensive, or 1.5 times more expensive. For the same thing, not even the same thing. For the same clothing, but it's also worse quality. Why? I guess this is I have noticed that all of this is playing into this weird stereotype. It's not even playing into the weird stereotype. It's enforcing this weird stereotype of that the woman buys more. The women go to shop. This is the thing you do in your free time. Look how many clothes this woman has. Do you know why? Because I can tell you, an average woman probably has more clothes than an average man, because she needs to have more, because the clothing doesn't fit, so you buy more clothing hoping that this one will fit, or you're I guess, maybe the jeans will stretch out, maybe it will be okay. You need more clothing, because the clothing that you get is worse quality. It doesn't last as long as the clothing a man would buy, so you obviously need to buy more. And then there's this stereotype of how much money does a woman spend on clothing? Well, you buy this clothing that is worse quality because you kind of have to. You don't really have another choice unless you like sew your own clothing or have enough money to buy like better quality, more expensive clothing from like not fast fashion brands. But like otherwise you kind of have to buy this worse quality clothing. You have to buy this more because it's bad quality and the money adds up. So all of this plays into this very toxic stereotype of women and buying clothing. And I'm talking about this today because this stereotype is so alive that recently was literally the topic in the books during my English lesson. The whole topic was talking about women's and men's stereotypes when buying clothing. And I can tell you that it was absolute bullshit. And I will actually tell you how this lesson went. This lesson went basically had a task. We had some stereotypes and we had to say, is this more a woman thing or is it more a man thing? I can tell you that for every single question, the class either said neither or both. And the teacher's response to this was, you cannot choose both. You have to decide. Basically, enforcing those very toxic stereotypes onto us. Also, there was a whole thing of comparing men to hunters while shopping and about women gathering berries and food in like times that I'm not sure why they played. Let me tell you, they played evolution into buying clothing in stores because obviously that for some reason that makes more sense. For some reason it makes more sense for a person to be like, men are hunters, so they go to the shops less, they get what they want, and they don't waste money. Well, actually, let me tell you, men buy less probably because a lot of men are either don't have to buy anything because they're taught that their mom or their girlfriend or some woman in their lives will do that for them. That's the first thing. The second thing is that they don't buy as much because they don't need to, because their clothing is better quality and it costs less. I think it's a much better explanation and a much more logical explanation than trying to connect buying clothing to evolution and men being hunters. Is the word okay? No, the word isn't okay. That I know that. But can we at least we have a lot of problems. Can we at least cut off this silly petty bullshit? There is so much sexism with just buying clothing, just the simplest of tasks. I mean, everybody has to buy clothing somehow. And there is so much fucking sexist stereotypes just in this. And especially in fast fashion. Now that I'm talking about this, I think there's also another reason why women's clothing is low quality. Like, I guess when you're a brand, you have to marketize. And because there is this stereotype of women basically buying a lot of clothing and different clothing and stuff like this, you have to play on that. So they do more weird fashion. They make it kind of not so expensive so you can buy it. And basically they add fuel to this entire situation. Also, clothing brands manipulate a lot. Like, going back to the pockets. Do you know what most logical? I know for some reason people like to be like, oh, it's the history's fault. Women just never had pockets. No, let me tell you. Women had huge pockets in the history. 18th century, 19th century, huge pockets. And then fashion discovered, hey, you can make the pockets smaller. And you know what? Women still have to keep their things somewhere. So we have this thing, bags and purses. So you make small pockets, we buy purses. We buy more because they still have to like buy skirts and pants. So more profit. It's basically taking something away from a person to profit even more. How is that okay? Like, honestly, because I think those are kind of the things that you just kind of accept. A woman accepts that she can buy pants with big pockets. Accepts that, well, I have to buy a purse anyway. Accepts that, well, it's low quality, I guess, but I kind of still have to buy it because I don't have a choice about this. It's just we came, like, it's not good still in the world, but we still came a long way. But somehow those little things are just left. They just still are here. Nobody really talks about them. Even though, like, small issues also should be fixed. Because as I just told you in this whole video, how those small things affect those big stereotypes. Yeah, I guess this is the end of my complaining, my rambling, I guess. This was pretty random. I'm still hoping you enjoy this weird thing, and I guess this is something to think about in the future while you're buying clothing and stuff like this. Also, don't be afraid to just walk into the section that is not labeled as yours for some reason and buy whatever there is from this. Like, if you want pants with big pockets, go to the men. Like, if you're a woman or a assigned female birth person, you want a pants with big pockets, just walk on over to this men's section and just buy whatever you want. I can tell you that people don't see a difference between men's and women's like jeans, for example. When you have them on, people don't tell a difference. So if you're worried about people like portraying you as more masculine than you want to, don't worry. Nobody notices that. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, like this. Let me know if you want more, like, I guess kind of more chill talking videos like this in the future. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.